So Dedra, we always have amazing speakers, but Dedra is special because she's one of our own. Many of you already know her from the cheers that you've heard. And I just wanted to start off with a few lawyer jokes. Is that okay?
That's good.
She works for a law firm, and I have to use an opportunity to make fun of lawyers. I had a very good friend who was an attorney, and he was the funniest guy. We always have amazing speakers, but how do you get a special because she's one of our injury lawyers? Many of you already know her picture. Just say fees. Okay, I didn't come up with, all right, groan. Okay, here's another one. A minister and a lawyer arrived at the pearly gates. St. Peter greeted both of them and gave them their room assignments. Pastor, here are the keys to one of our nicest efficiency units. And for you, sir, he said to the lawyer, the keys to our finest penthouse. This is unfair, cried the minister. Listen, St. Peter said, ministers are a dime a dozen up here, but this is the first lawyer we've ever seen. All right, and okay, one more. A man walked into the bar with his alligator and asked the bartender, do you serve lawyers here? Sure do, said the bartender. Good, said the man. Give me a beer and I'll have a lawyer for my gator. Okay, sorry. Shauna, don't make me make these jokes again, okay? All right. Having said that, in this industry, lawyers are the good guys. They really help us get out of a lot of sticky situations. And Dedra is definitely going to mention some of them. So her topic's going to be know what the POAs are, power of attorney, do's and don'ts, legal and medical. Are you using the right document? By the end of this, there will be a quiz. Make sure that you know what the correct answer is. So Dedra Jize is a certified senior advisor, yay, and geriatric care manager at Little Kennedy and Associates, APC, attorneys at law. She works to help senior clients and their families with Medicare issues and Medi-Cal applications and representations. Dedra provides psychosocial assessments of healthcare needs, develops individualized plans for care, evaluates the specific needs of clients, and makes recommendations when applicable for home care services, independent living communities, etc. So if you fall in any of those, you want to make sure that you're on her list to call. Over to you, Dedra.
Thank you, Wesley. Appreciate that. And thank you. You know, this is such a beautiful community. I've been here before, and I love, if you haven't taken the tour, please do afterwards. I was amazed by the width of the hallways and the lighting, because the lighting seems like there's skylights everywhere, like the sun is shining inside the building, which is very important for the elderly to have that sense. So I want to just make sure you take a tour if you haven't seen it, because it's just really well done. Anyways, I just want to do, I'm just going to let you know, first of all, I am not an attorney. I'm a geriatric care manager. I do everything that's not legal in the office. So the attorneys love to have me around because they get so many questions, as they are elder law attorneys. They are estate planning attorneys. And they get the question of, you know, my mom broke her leg. I was called in the middle of the night, and she's in the hospital. And you know what we found out? Mom has cancer of the knee, and it broke at the knee. And we don't know what's going to happen. They're going to have an amputation. She's 80 years old. Dad, oh, by the way, this is a true story. You know, you can't make this stuff up. And dad is blind. So, you know, what are we going to do? That's the type of calls I get. But let me introduce who I am, just my own personal life. I love to share about myself. I have two girls, two daughters, and they are both living here in San Jose. One's in Morgan Hill. They're both married. I have two grandchildren, 3 and 5. So the older one's going to start kindergarten. I'm excited about that. And I essentially started my career off years ago as an occupational therapist. I worked over at Good Sam Psychiatric. Loved it, but did take a break and came back and worked at what was then the Alzheimer's Activity Center, and is now Hearts and Mind day program for those with dementia, Alzheimer's. So that is what I have done. All right, so when it comes to documents, have any of you ever given the wrong documents? Supply, an insurance company, loan applications, whatever the it is. Well, I did. I went to the DMV because I needed that real ID. Now, it was getting to crunch time back when they had the original due date. And I looked up on the internet, what do I need to take? I went over there. I was just, sitting and waiting forever, by the way, waiting for my little number, E39, whatever gate, let's say gate 4, I'm thinking of airports, but you get the idea, you're sitting there a long time. So I go up, get my number called, plop down my 3 documents that were required for a real ID, and the woman looks at them and she goes, nope, not going to do, you're going to have to come back. What the heck? I'm just like, I have just spent an hour of my time sitting over here. I looked on the internet, I have it all in place. And they said, sorry, ma'am, you are providing your birth certificate as a form of ID. I'm like, yeah, I did that when I got my passport. And they said, well, you'll notice that your birth certificate has your maiden name and the other documents has your married name. They do not jive. And I did not bring my marriage certificate. So I left a failure. And I will also let you know, to this day, I do not have a real ID. Okay, let's get into the nitty gritty here. Raise of hands. Who here has a trust? Oh, excellent. Look at all these great people. I love it. So I'm taking that all you are experts in the documents. You know exactly what's in there. It's all up to date and it's all good. So I think those of you can just go ahead and mingle, somewhere else. All right. I'm going to be talking about documents, and then I'm going to wrap it around as to how it relates to you helping your clients, your residents, whoever it is, whatever your field is. So you're going to have to bear with me with the boring part. All right. So who here has estate planning documents? Now you see, there you go. That's right there what I want to see. So if you noticed, any of you can look back. Who has a trust? Almost everybody put up your say. And then I asked, well, who has estate planning documents? Well, Dedra, didn't you just already ask that? Well, no, I did not. I said a trust is one document. Yep. There are a lot of documents for an estate planning packet, shall we say. Not everybody needs a trust. It's not appropriate for everybody to have a trust. So, you got to realize the difference between estate planning documents and a trust, which is what I'm going to go through. Who here does not need estate planning documents? No one's going to raise their hands anymore, are you? I might catch you. Okay, to find out, let's ask some questions. And I was going to have a raise of hands, but I thought maybe not. Such as the first question is, do you own real property? And I was going to have you raise your hand. All right. And then I'd say, keep it raised. Who has more than $166,000 in the bank? I thought maybe we don't want to share that part. Who has minor children? Okay. Who cares or wants control of where their assets go after they pass away? Now, of all that, some of you are going to raise your hand for all those questions, and some of you are not, right? Now, the last question to who needs an estate document is, are you over 18 years old? Very good. I think we all qualify for that. So you know what? Everybody here needs estate planning documents. You know, that whole 18-year mark. If you have adult children, and you went through that 18 mark, and you took your kids to the pediatrician, and when they hit 18, the doctor doesn't talk to you anymore. They are done. You're not, you can be invited in, but you are not part of that. And, where I work, we have a thing where when kids go off to college, we will, for our clients, provide free healthcare power of attorney for your kids who are going off to college, because you may be the one getting that call at night, and you need to be able to have authority to find out what's going on. And we'll talk more about that. So what is an estate plan? How is that different when I said there's a trust? Essentially, a trust is something you need. This is the boring part, so feel free to nod off. If you nod off and you miss something, I have brochures and my business card on all the chairs. So it may not be towards the back, but you can pick them up before you leave. They're flying around in the wind, so they're around. So a trust is, if needed, avoids the probate. It's effective when you are alive and able, like I have a trust, alive and able, it works for me, and incapacitated or even death. Then there's a will. Do you need a will? There's two different types of wills, not going to get into that. There's a property power of attorney. This is a power of attorney for assets, things, stuff that is not in a trust. So if you have a trust, you might have a home. It's in the trust. A power of attorney has no effect on anything about that house because it's in the trust. Power of attorney outside of the trust. We also have in the estate planning documents a healthcare power of attorney, and people say, "Well, I've got a healthcare directive," which is good. Don't get me wrong; it's a good thing. Healthcare directive is, a healthcare power of attorney is power over the person. And at times when the person passes, it's power over the body. So this is important. If any of you have done any planning, burial planning for a loved one, and if your loved one's still alive, you're going to need this to do it, because otherwise your loved one's got to do it. And then we also include in our documents the POLST, the Physician's Order of Life-Sustaining Treatment, because end-of-life treatments are very important, especially when we're dealing with the elderly. And if you don't know what any of this stuff is, I've got copies up here, especially for the POLST. It's a pretty pink. Okay, so we went over the documents: the trust, power of attorney, healthcare, power of attorney, finance, will, POLST. Then there's the terms. I love the person who calls me and says, "Dedra, I am the executor of my mom. I need to figure out where she needs to live." I'm like, okay, first of all, by the fact that you said you're the executor, that means she's dead. Okay. But in any case, to know the terms, I understand most people don't, and that's okay. I work through it. There's the trustee of the trust, person in charge. There's a trustor. That's the person who funds the trust. The person who owns the house you put in the trust. There's the beneficiary. And this is where people get a little stuck too. Beneficiary. I'm the beneficiary of my own trust. It's all about me, and all that stuff is mine, and I expect to have access and use it for my good. The beneficiaries are not my two children. When I'm gone, it is, but not right now, it's not. So got to be careful how you use the word beneficiary. Then there's other types of trustee. There's a co-trustee, like my husband and I were co-trustees. But you can also, when people get older, they want to bring someone alongside. They're not interested in giving up power. They still want the control. They're still got their wherewithal. But they might want one of their adult children to be a co-trustee, to be able to step in a lot quicker. Then there's the successor trustee, and that's the person who does the all-in-all, takes over. So essentially, in my case, my husband and I would have to either resign as trustees, or we could be lacking capacity. And my document says for me to be declared incapacitated, I need 2 doctor's letters. That's what my estate plan says. Everyone's could say something different. Actually, I've read ones where it says, the trust says, to be deemed incapacity, the successor trustee can make that determination. I'm like, wow, so the kids could say, oh yeah, mom's. I just think, I mean, man, the things I've read. And then there's the executor, which is after death, the person who carries out whatever the plan is. All right, now we're all experts. We got it? Got the documents, got the lingo. We understand it. All right, so what does this have to do with working with our elderly clients? A lot. People are so confused when they call me and I hear the story, and then I ask, may I have a copy of the trust and the power of attorney? Like, well, I don't know where that is. I don't know anything. I said, yeah, but you are wanting to step into mom's shoes and help her. But do you have that authority? And I'm really curious, and I have no idea how things go around here and in all your different fields, because we have lots of different professionals doing different things to help the seniors. And that is, are you talking to the right person? They may give that whole authority that they are, but do they really have the authority to make a decision? That's the other part of it. I don't know. So, people are calling, mom or dad's health is declining. Things need to change. And what you need to know you need to know who has the authority. You need to know when that authority starts, and you need to know what they're authorized to actually do. So, this is where different documents, the power of attorney may say one thing for things outside the trust, and the trust may actually sometimes have a different person, and that has to do with who has access to things in the trust, to sell the house so that we can provide the lovely care, because most money here is, bank poor, money, house rich here. So, that you got to have, who is that? The other thing about documents, as I mentioned about the healthcare power of attorney and the post, there's this real life situation where it was a holiday, lovely celebrating. It was at grandma's house. The whole family was around, and it was getting later in the day, and grandma says, I'm going to go sit in my favorite chair in the living room, and you guys go clean up the kitchen, girls. And the grandkids are running around. I mean, it's a really big family function because it's a holiday. And they say, yeah, Mom, go ahead and go sit down. Well, as the evening progressed, they're like, Mom's still in her chair over there. Let's go wake her up and tell her it's time to go to bed. And they give her a little push, Mom, no response. So, what does these family members do? They panic. They call 911. Mom's not being responsive. And so the paramedics, everyone comes. I'm going to tone down just because of our place. But all the lights, the little grandkids are watching. The paramedics are like, there's no pulse, there's no breathing. We're going to commence CPR, because that is what they have to do. And the family, the adult kids are like, no, that's not what Mom wanted. I mean, they've had the discussion. They understood what Mom wanted. And so they're like, hold on, we've got documents. And they go running around the house trying to figure out where it is. But they did find something. They finally, here, look, she didn't want that. And so the paramedics look at the paperwork. And they said, yeah, this isn't going to do. Continue CPR. And it was just a horrific sight. It was not good for anybody. It was not Mom's wishes. What do you think they gave and showed the paramedics? You guys got to talk louder because I got this vent going on. What did they show that was not effective?
DNR?
No, it was the healthcare power of attorney. You know, where all their wishes, or as a healthcare directive, do not do this, do not do that, and da 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 da. What should they have shown? Good job. Okay, so POST, some of you say DNR, POST. POST is the more modern of DNR because it gives more options. Had they had the DNR, had they known where it was, had they shown the right document, they could have just done away with a lot of that. Like I said, this is a true story. My daughter was part of that story, and she said it was the worst thing she could see. It was just not the wish. Have the right documents. Okay. How am I doing on time? Because I'm going into story mode. Excellent. Okay. So another common thing that calls I get is the son calls and says, Dedra, I'm at the bank. Mom is at a community now. She's made that transition. I've been paying out of my own bank account because I'm waiting to get access to hers. And I've got the power of attorney, and I went to the bank and they said, well, we got to pass it through our legal office, which they always do. And it took a few days. And they came back and said, sorry, you cannot access mom's account. And I said, why can't I access the account? And they were like, well, yeah. I don't know if the workers at the banks really don't know, because they don't know a whole lot, just FYI. No offense to people working at banks, but or are they just being more, this is privacy thing. I don't know. So I say, well, John, he says, well, I showed him the statement. I showed the power of attorney. I showed him the 2 doctors' letters of incapacity. What more could they want? I said, John, look at that statement. He goes, yeah. I says, who does it say the owner of the account is? He says, well, Mary Smith. I said, John, is there anything else after Mary Smith? Yeah, just some letters, TTEE, I don't know, whatever that is. I'm like, John, that account is in your mom's trust. Are you guys following me now? You should. I'm trying to educate you here. The power of attorney has no authority of assets in the trust. He needed to have the trust. He needed to be either a co-trustee or a successor trustee. And that's a whole nother thing versus just, being power of attorney. So this is where it's very important when I talk to people, have an understanding of your loved one's accounts and what are they in reality. A lot of people call me and they said, oh yeah, mom's got 150,000 in a retirement account and da 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 da. And I said, retirement account. I said, can I see the statement, please? I don't trust anything anyone says anymore. Can I see the statement, please? And I look at it and I'm like, this looks like a brokerage account. I don't see anything that says this is a qualified, IRA, 401k, something. And they're like, well, no, it's just what mom, saved for retirement. Like, no, it makes a big difference to me, because it's, as an IRA retirement account is it will be outside the trust. If any of you have a trust, your retirement accounts are outside the trust. The beneficiary could be the trust, but we want it outside the trust. So power of attorney will help with that one. But if it's a brokerage account, and that now it could be anything. It could be outside trust, inside trust. But knowing these things, very important. Know the documents. I have another story where brother and sister, I'm sure none of you have heard this one, brother and sister. Brother lives with mom, has for many years. He's a kind young man. He takes care of mom, always has. Well, at least according to him. Mom cooks, mom cleans, mom was doing the laundry, all that. Mom starts aging, mom starts needing help. So he ends up, he gets into her documents and they go to an attorney. She still has capacity. He's like, oh, my fine young man. I want him to be my power of attorney agent. I want him to be the immediate successor trustee because I'm just done with dealing with all that, which sounds fine and was fine. But there's also a sister who lives out of the area. And I get a call from sister. And sister says, my son went and visited my brother and mom, grandma, and he said, mom's looking horrible. She looks malnourished. My brother would not let him into the house. There was something wrong. Red flags a blaring, you know. And I said, okay. And so that was where I entered. And so it's like, again, who has the authority? You know, does he have the authority or does she have the authority? Ended up, he has full authority. What do you do with someone who has full authority? She didn't want to rock the family boat, but she's also looking after mom. What can she do? What she decided to go with, just to let you know the end line, is he agreed that mom could go live with her, but he was going to retain all authority. And I told her, I says, that means if mom has a medical event, goes to the hospital, you're going to have to call your brother. If anything needs to be paid, you're going to have to talk to your brother. She's like, that's fine. I just need mom to be healthy. I haven't heard anything since. So, you know, it's just, you know, what are you going to do? Well, I'll tell you what you do. Well, I'll tell you what you guys do, at least for yourselves and maybe even for the people that you work with. Make sure people have their trusts up to date and reviewed. That means, you know, people say, well, how often should I have my trust reviewed? There is no real date. I mean, you know, 5, 7 years, I don't know. But it's definitely when there's any life change. Did someone move? Did someone die? Did someone get married? Did someone get divorced? Did someone have a baby? All these things happen in families, and this is going to possibly change your trust, their trust. You know, who was, you know, like this example I just gave, mom essentially wanted him, you know, he lived at home. He was the closest. Why would I choose my daughter to help me because she's far away? That made total sense to her and to me too. But you really got to look at, you know, is this person the person you want? When you look at your own kids, is that who I really want? You know, in fact, I picked my younger one to be my healthcare power of attorney because she's going to be I can't use the word, she's going to be really tough. She will do what I say. I mean, she knows, I mean, both kids know it, so I want them both on the same page, but she's the one that will pull the plug. The other one is going to question it, worry about it, dwell on it, ask her husband about it. You know, I don't want that. I just don't even go there. Don't even stick that tube down my throat. But, you know, you got to figure out, you know, why would I pick the baby of the family for that? Because it's who I feel is the best person. And you know what? Maybe in 5 years, I decide something different, and that's totally fine. Nothing is set in stone. Please know that your estate documents are not set in stone, that they can change over time. I mean, I talk to people in their 90s. It's like, yeah, you know, my agent, power of attorney agents, you know, they're gone, they moved, they're like really gone, you know. There's just all different things. So, you know, when it comes to you in your field, who has the authority to admit someone into a beautiful community? Who has the authority to sell the house? Who has the authority to sign up a caregiver and let this person in? I had a call. The guy, you'll like this one. This is last week's call. The guy's in New York. Mom and sister are here in the area. And he's ready for litigation because mom is going, his sister is going to toss mom into a senior community. I'm like, well, what's going on with mom? Oh, she's fine. The doctors say she's got some dementia, but I don't believe it. I said, well, when was the last time you saw her? About a year ago. I'm like, well, what do you see when you talk to her? It's like, well, I know she repeats herself, but you know what? The caregivers, they're bad caregivers. They keep stealing from her. I mean, I really had to control myself with this gentleman because I'm like, you don't get it. You don't get it. But I said, who has the authority? Who is the power of attorney? He's like, he says, sister is. I'm like, okay. Well, if you want to give me her estate documents, we'll talk about, but I said, if you want litigation, it's not in my office. We don't do litigation. We do estate planning. I have referrals for you, but you get all these different calls that are just really interesting. How about the one, mom has a boyfriend. Mom's 70 years old. Mom's going to the casinos and spending all her money. They're gambling and she's paying it all. She's footing the bill. I'm like, well, does mom have, capacity? Does she know what she's doing? Oh yeah, she totally knows what she's doing. I'm like, then what's the problem? And he said, she's going to spend all her money and then it's going to be on me. I said, well, I understand what you're saying. But she has the authority, whatever, to make her own stupid choices. We all do. We can decide whatever stupid thing we want to do. And I said, and then you have the authority to have a boundary. You do not have to pick up mom's pieces. If this is what she's doing, adult kids really feel like, I get so many times like, do I have to pay the bill at the skilled nursing facility? Like, no, but I signed the paperwork. No, you still don't. It's your mom. They're not your dependent. It's not your kid. So, there's just different things that are, knowing what your rights are. I do assessments. I do advocating. I do plans that could be just, for the next 24 hours because someone's in a discharge mode from somewhere. Or it could be a 3-year plan where someone's thinking of moving. I have this guy who's thinking of moving to a senior community of some sort, him and his wife, and they've been talking to me for years, but they were broken into, and now they don't feel safe where they are. I'm like, okay, let's move this forward, people. Let's see what the next step. You've been talking about it. You've been planning for it. Now let me get you connected. So, and then the other part of what I do is Medi-Cal applications. This is for those people who are in a skilled nursing facility. And how do you, and if they need to remain there because they can't pay for the home care, the caregivers, there's nobody else in the house. The 90-year-old wife isn't going to take care and be able to help get the husband pulled out of bed. They can't afford a beautiful community like this, perhaps, or maybe they can in a few months. They got to get their ducks in a row. This is what I do. Where if you're going to remain in skilled nursing, I don't condone it as that's the best of everything. It's not what we want to plan for. But sometimes it is the option. When money runs out, it is the option. And family gets very confused with the whole Medi-Cal and all that. And I will tell you, Medi-Cal, people think, no, my parents will never get on Medi-Cal. In fact, I had a gentleman, don't tell my kids my finances, but here they are. His wife, Thursday, that's today, is on her last Medicare 100 days, and she is bedridden. And he's like, they have retirement money, but he's like, I'm not feeling comfortable spending, $25,000 for 24-hour care. Maybe assisted living, but I'm looking there going, I don't think assisted living is going to approve her, but so we need to look at, and he's like, well, I'm not going to be able to get Medi-Cal. Well, Medi-Cal is changing as of July 1st, where a person had to have less than $2,000 of countable income. Countable meaning we don't count the house, we don't count the $3 million house, we don't count the Tesla in the garage, we don't count that $500,000 IRA, but they do count what's left. And it used to be this month under 2,000. Next month, starting July 1st, 130,000. Big old change of the asset test. Income is not an issue. We don't talk it. That's under 65. So, there's a lot of rules. People find it all very confusing. So I'm here to straighten it out, see if it's something that would be of use. Like I said, I like to have that option. I like people to know all the options. I don't care where you go, what you choose, but all the options. It's very important to know that. So any questions or anything people want to ask, or you're good and we're ready for tours, or are we waiting to go see the Warriors game?
Don't encourage them.
I don't know what your plans are.
Questions, raise your hand. just shout it out. Anything online? Andrew, anything? What's the difference between property and financial POA?
There is, that's a good question. What's the difference between property POA and financial POA? So let me just say, first of all, when it comes to trusts, a name of a trust, it could be any name you want. There is no, you could call it the bubblegum trust, or it's the carnival, or the unicorns flying in the sky trust. It doesn't matter what you call it. It doesn't matter. We as doing the trust, you have the authority to do whatever you name or whatever you want. When it comes to power of attorney, again, it's the same. Financial power of attorney, property power of attorney, durable power of attorney, they're all the same.
Same thing, okay.
You kind of have to look at it, see what it's giving authority to know if it's between the financial, stuff, or is it the person.
Great. Other questions, guys?
Oh,
I know a family that would love to see you, but they're all over the place and they're not very tech savvy, but they'd love to read up a little bit before they come and see you. Can you guide us to any tech resources online? Do you have a blog or an FAQ that they could see first, and then when they're ready, they can come and see?
I would recommend, so the question is, how does someone get to know me, what we do, what there is, and more information, online, because they are tech savvy. They aren't tech savvy. They're not local, right? So I help.
But they can view the internet. They're all over 70, so
right.
They're not happy with Zoom, but they love to look things up before they come.
Right. So normally, I would say, first of all, look at our website, attorneyoffice.com. That's about the whole office. You'll find me in there. You'll find what we do. There's lots of resources in there. And then normally people are just calling me like a regular phone. Well, and I do offer free 15-minute consultations. It's usually more than 15 minutes just because I'm gathering information. Can I be of any help? Or do I have the resources to say, why don't you talk to this person? This person may be the person you need to talk to, not me. I am the person that's going to keep you from Googling for hours on end, finding who knows what out there. I'm not a big Google person. I essentially assist anyone in California. Outside the state, things change, but if someone's interested in having a loved one move to California, that's where I become involved also. Just because laws, regulations, all that changes from state to state. So I have helped people all over California, but not out of state.
That's it? Wow.
I must have, you know what? I just baffled them. They don't even have no idea what to even ask now. They're so confused. But thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Dedra. I did say there was going to be a quiz.